What would you do if you discovered that your life could have an impact beyond yourself? Have you ever thought about how the world could be different because of your actions? If you believe that the meaning of life is just something to be found around a corner, then this video will change your mind. Today, we will explore the words of a man who has inspired millions of people around the world, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I invite you to stay with me until the end, because you will discover a message that could radically transform the way you see yourself and your role in this vast universe. Are you ready? Then, let's dive into one of the most powerful and moving interviews ever. But before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss out on more content like this, full of profound reflections and inspirations that could change your life path. Neil deGrasse Tyson, one of the most influential scientists of our time, is not only a world-renowned astrophysicist, but also a man who has dedicated his life to inspiring people to look beyond the surface of things and embrace their curiosity. During one of his most iconic interviews, he shared a truly astonishing message. The impact you want to have on the world shouldn't be about yourself. Tyson invites us to reflect on a crucial question. What can I do to make the world a better place? Success, he says, is not defined by accolades or statues erected in your honor. No, true success is seeing humanity improve, even if no one remembers your name. When we contribute to the well-being of others without expecting anything in return, that's when we begin to create a real impact. Think about it. How often are our lives dictated by the desire for recognition? How often do we strive for results that only serve to feed our egos? Tyson challenges us to let go of these expectations and see our value not through the eyes of others, but through the positive change we can bring about. Don't die until you've done something for humanity, Tyson says. That's his mantra, and he invites us to make it our own. Imagine for a moment walking through a city, the streetlights illuminating unfamiliar faces. Each of them, just like you, are fighting an invisible battle. Each of them has hopes, dreams, and fears that often remain hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. Now imagine that with one small action, you could make a difference for one of these people. It might not change the course of their entire life, but it could be the spark that lights up a new perspective. This is what Tyson invites us to do. Not seek glory or recognition, but small gestures that can change someone's world, even if only for a moment. But what makes this message truly extraordinary is his humility. Neil does not want to be remembered for his name or his personal achievements. He just wants people to learn from him and use what they have learned to change the world without ever thinking about him again. He wants to become irrelevant because when we stop citing sources and start embracing the lessons learned, that's when real change begins. What about you? How do you see your life? Do you think that meaning should be found outside of yourself? Or as Neil deGrasse Tyson suggests, do you think it's time to create your own meaning? Leave us a comment below. We want to know your opinion on this topic that truly divides so many people. Neil doesn't stop there. He talks about how curiosity is the most powerful force we have at our disposal. In a world where school often stifles our natural curiosity, Tyson argues that the real secret to success is keeping that inner flame alive. It doesn't matter what school or university you attended. What really matters is your desire to explore, to discover, to understand the world around you. He talks about how he met Carl Sagan when he was just 17, an encounter that changed his life forever. Sagan, despite his fame, never treated Neil like a nobody. Instead, he gave him his phone number and invited him to his home. Because for Sagan, it wasn't who Neil was at that moment that mattered, but who he could become. This act of pure humanity had a profound effect on Neil, so much so that from that day on, he promised himself that if he ever became famous, he would treat others with the same kindness and openness. Imagine being a young boy of 17 with big dreams and a passion for the universe. And suddenly, one of the most famous scientists in the world invites you into his home, offers you his attention, and encourages you to pursue your passions. What would that do for you? It would probably change your life forever. And so it did for Neil. From that moment on, Neil knew that no matter how big, famous, or influential you become, what really matters is how you treat people and how you manage to make them feel important. And here comes another powerful lesson. Neil urges us to reflect on the way we see the world and how we can, with small gestures, improve the lives of others. It's not about changing the entire world in one day, but about taking a small step every day towards improving those around us. As Neil himself says, if I can take 10 minutes of my time to reduce suffering or bring joy to someone, then I must do it. This is his concept of responsibility, and he invites us to make it our own. How often in our daily lives do we ignore these small moments? Maybe it's a kind word we don't say, a smile we don't offer, or a help we could have given but chose to withhold. Yet, it is precisely these moments that can make a difference. Neil reminds us that we don't have to wait for great opportunities to do good. Every day, we have the chance to leave our mark, to make the world a slightly better place for those around us. But before continuing towards the conclusion, I invite you to give this video a big like if it is inspiring you. And if you want to support our channel, consider leaving a super thank you. Every little gesture helps us to create increasingly meaningful content for you. Neil deGrasse Tyson leaves us with a thought that will echo in our minds for a long time. The real impact is not in how we are remembered, but in how we make people feel, in the change we create in their lives. Tyson also shares a personal story about his father, who, despite being considered unfit for certain sports, used that challenge to excel and prove otherwise. This teaches us that sometimes the difficulties we encounter along the way are the very ones that push us to overcome our limits. And so, the question is no longer, what impact will I have on the world? But how much will I be willing to give without expecting anything in return? This question, so simple yet so powerful, is a reflection that each of us should ask ourselves. It is not about fame. It is not about recognition. It is about leaving the world a little better than we found it. If this video got you thinking, and you want to learn more about how you can make your mark, I recommend you watch the video here on the end screen. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time.